All right, so we got a request to take a deep dive into the whole Jeff Bezos success story.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and luckily there's this fantastic episode of the Success Chronicles
Oh,
podcast.
I've heard of that one. It's pretty insightful.
Yeah, totally. And we're going to try and sort of pull out some of the key elements,
Okay.
and especially what makes it so, I don't know, remarkable and relevant to everyone listening. Right?
Absolutely.
So get this, we're going to talk about how Amazon started
Okay.
in a garage, like a literal garage,
Sick.
with desks made from doors.
Wow, gotta love that startup ingenuity.
I know, right? And then there's this crazy statistic, a 2,300% growth rate.
2,300%. That's incredible.
I know. And that was like the spark, the whole catalyst for the Amazon idea.
You know, what always strikes me about Bezos' story is how it embodies
Yeah.
those classic entrepreneurial traits, but with this, like, unique twist.
Right.
It's not just, the typical rags to riches narrative.
Right.
It's a masterclass
Yeah.
in turning a vision into reality.
Yeah. It really is. And it's interesting because the podcast actually starts with his childhood.
Oh, cool.
And it wasn't like he was just a kid with a lemonade stand or something, He was like this super curious kid who, as a toddler, literally took apart his crib.
No way.
Yeah, like piece by piece.
Oh, wow. I got to remember that one for later.
Then he was valedictorian in high school, graduated from Princeton.
So the drive was there from the start.
Yeah, from the very beginning. It's almost like he was preparing for something big.
That foundation of intellectual curiosity
Yeah.
and a tireless work ethic, we see that so often with successful entrepreneurs.
Right. It's like a pattern.
They're not just smart, they're relentless.
Yeah.
But it's that spark, that vision that really sets them apart.
Absolutely. And Bezos definitely had that spark. So the podcast, it really dives into this moment when he discovered just how fast the internet was growing.
Oh, yeah, the early days of the internet. Wild times.
I know. And get this, 2,300% per year. Can you imagine? That's mind-boggling.
Right. It was like a total revelation. And that's when he had this vision for an online bookstore.
Okay, I see where this is going.
Right.
Yeah.
That could, surpass any physical bookstore.
Right, because of the limitations of physical space and all that.
Exactly. The potential was just massive.
So what, did he jump right in?
Well, here's the thing. At the time, he had this secure, high-paying Wall Street job.
Oh, wow. Talk about a tough decision.
Yeah, right. Would you have had the guts to leave that behind?
I don't know. That's a tough one.
But Bezos did.
That's a huge risk.
But it was a calculated risk, and that's, I think, a key part of entrepreneurship.
For sure, you got to be willing to take those leaps of faith.
So picture this. 1994, Bezos leaves Wall Street, goes to Seattle, and sets up shop in a garage.
Okay, so this is where the Amazon story really begins.
Yeah, and not some fancy renovated garage either.
No.
No, like desks made from doors, super basic, real startup vibes.
I love it.
It's almost like the classic underdog story. Right. But with this, Amazon-sized ambition already brewing.
Totally. But it wasn't just about, starting small and scrappy.
Oh, there's more to it than that.
Yeah. It was this insane focus on the customer from day one.
Ah, that makes sense.
They were packing and shipping those books themselves,
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's dedication.
It wasn't just about selling. It was about building this, super loyal customer base.
Smart move, building that foundation from the very beginning.
Yeah. Long-term strategy.
For sure.
It's pretty amazing to think about those early days in the garage.
Right. It's humble beginnings, right?
Totally. And then to think about what Amazon became.
I mean, it's everywhere now.
But they didn't just stay with books,
Right, they branched out.
They went into music, then movies.
Oh, yeah?
And eventually, as the podcast puts it, everything under the sun.
That's a great way to put it.
It's crazy, right?
And it's not just about expanding into new markets.
What else is it about then?
It's about Bezos's relentless drive for innovation.
Oh, yeah. He was always coming up with something new.
Think about it. Amazon Prime
Revolutionary.
completely changed the game,
The Kindle.
transformed how we read,
And then there's AWS.
the backbone of the internet.
It's like he could anticipate what people needed before they even knew it.
He had this incredible knack for identifying opportunities and then exceeding expectations.
It's like that famous Bezos quote, if you double the number of experiments
Oh yeah, I've heard that one.
you do per year, you're going to double your inventiveness.
He was all about embracing failure as part of the process.
Right, always pushing the boundary
Exactly. Always pushing the
and
boundaries.
stepping outside that comfort zone.
When you look at the big picture,
Yeah,
it's this combination of long-term thinking,
right.
and constantly pushing those boundaries.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how Amazon went from a garage bookstore to, well...
To the Amazon we know today.
Yeah, exactly.
But here's the kicker. Bezos' ambition didn't stop at Amazon.
Wait, there's more.
Oh, yeah. The podcast also talks about Blue Origin. Oh, right, his space company.
And it all stems from this lifelong fascination with space.
That's so cool. So he's not just a business mogul, he's a visionary.
Yeah, and his vision with Blue Origin is to make space travel accessible to everyone.
Wow, talk about aiming for the stars.
I know, right? It's incredible.
It's inspiring to see that kind of ambition, that drive to make a real difference.
And that's not all. He actually stepped down as Amazon CEO to focus on other things too.
Like what?
Like philanthropy, tackling climate change, you know?
Yeah, his vision extends way beyond the corporate world.
So I think it's worth pausing here and highlighting some of the big takeaways from this episode.
Okay, sounds good.
It's all about embracing that long-term perspective.
Right, even if it means short-term setbacks.
Exactly. And then there's this unwavering customer obsession.
Making it your unique selling proposition.
Yes. And then, of course, viewing failure as a crucial part of innovation.
That's so important, you know? It's not about being perfect, it's about learning and growing. And then, of course, daring to dream big and constantly pushing those boundaries.
Those are some powerful lessons for sure.
It really makes you think, right?
Yeah.
Like, how could we apply these principles to our own lives?
That's a great question to ask yourself. What resonates with you from all of this?
It's not just about creating a billion-dollar company. It's about that Bezos-like mindset.
Absolutely. Applying that to whatever you're passionate about.
I mean, his story is just incredibly inspiring, wouldn't you say?
Totally. To see someone take an idea and turn it into something that impacts the world.
On such a massive scale.
It's really a testament to the power of vision and determination.
But here's what I find really interesting. It all started because he recognized this trend.
Okay.
The internet's explosive growth, right?
Yeah.
So it makes you wonder
That.
what trends are emerging right now that could have that same world-changing potential.
Whoa, that's a big question.
Right. What if we're surrounded by opportunities we just haven't recognized yet?
It's like, are we paying enough attention to the subtle shifts happening around us?
Yeah, are we connecting the dots and seeing the bigger picture?
Because maybe, just maybe,
Yeah.
that's where the real opportunities lie.
You know, it's like that quote, the best way to predict the future is to create it.
Right.
And Bezos, he didn't just ride the wave of the internet.
He shaped it.
It's a powerful lesson for all of us, no matter what our goals are.
Absolutely.
It's about being proactive, not reactive.
Right.
It's about identifying those emerging trends and figuring out how to harness their power.
To create something new and valuable.
That's the essence of innovation, wouldn't you say?
Exactly.
But it's worth noting,
Yeah.
Bezos didn't have it easy.
Oh, for sure.
He faced his fair share of setbacks along the way.
Oh, yeah. The podcast definitely mentions that.
It makes you wonder,
What do you mean?
how do you deal with those failures, you know? How did he keep going?
That's a great question, actually, because it's such a crucial part of the story.
Yeah, he didn't just accept failure.
Right. He didn't let it define it.
He embraced it.
Wow.
He saw it as a necessary stepping stone in the whole innovation process.
You know, I remember that quote about doubling experiments.
Yeah.
To double inventiveness.
Yeah.
That right there suggests a willingness to fail.
Yeah, to extract those valuable lessons
Yeah.
and keep refining and iterating.
It's not about avoiding failure.
No.
It's about learning from it and coming back stronger.
It's like that saying, fail fast, fail often.
But it's not just about failing, right?
Yeah.
It's about what you do with those failures.
It's what truly matters.
Exactly.
Turning those setbacks into valuable stepping stones, analyzing what went wrong, extracting the lessons,
Yeah.
applying them to future endeavors.
That's how you turn failure into a catalyst for growth.
Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely.
And that's where that long-term thinking comes in again.
Right. Keeping your eye on the prize.
If you're focused on the big picture,
Yeah.
those short-term failures become less daunting.
They're just bumps in the road.
And resilience, oh man, resilience is so key.
It really is.
And it's often intertwined with a deep belief in your vision. Right. Bezos was so convinced that the internet would revolutionize commerce
Yeah.
that he was willing to weather those early storms.
To ride out the uncertainty.
Yeah, and that unwavering conviction is what keeps you going.
When others might give up,
Exactly.
you need that inner strength.
It's such a powerful combination of passion and grit.
Absolutely.
You need that fire to ignite the journey,
To fuel that initial spark.
but you also need the stamina to see it through.
That's where the Bezos story really resonates, don't you think?
Absolutely.
It's not just about the success, it's about the journey.
The struggles, the
And to
determination.
pave the path.
And it's a journey that's still unfolding.
Oh, for sure.
He might have stepped back from the day-to-day of Amazon,
Yeah.
but he's still chasing those ambitious goals.
With Blue Origin and all his other ventures.
It's a reminder that there's always more to learn,
More to achieve.
no matter how much you've already accomplished.
He's constantly pushing boundaries.
First, it was e-commerce.
Now it's space travel, climate change.
It's like he's always seeking out the next big challenge.
Always looking for ways to make a difference.
And that's what's so remarkable.
What do you mean?
His drive to make a difference. It's not about resting on your laurels.
Right?
It's about exploring new avenues, pushing the envelope, leaving your mark.
And speaking of leaving a mark,
Oh, yeah.
this podcast really highlighted Bezos' impact on the world.
We're talking about changing how we shop,
How we read.
even how we think about space travel.
It's hard to overstate his influence, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it really is.
It's undeniable.
It's not just about the products and services.
It's about pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
In business and technology,
He set a new standard.
for innovation, customer focus, long-term thinking,
It's like he rewrote the playbook.
for 21st century entrepreneurship.
That's a perfect way to put it.
He's redefined what's attainable.
And inspired countless others
To dream big.
to chase those ambitious dreams.
But here's the thing.
Okay,
Bezos' story isn't over.
what do you mean?
Who knows what he'll do next?
That's exciting. It's like the future is still being written.
And we all have the potential to play a part.
That's a powerful thought.
It's a little daunting, though.
What is?
How do you even spot those world-changing trends?
Right.
It's not like Bezos had a crystal ball. True, no crystal ball, but he had something just as powerful.
Like what?
This, insatiable curiosity
Uh-huh.
and an insane willingness to explore.
I see where you're going with this.
He wasn't afraid to, venture into the unknown,
To push the limits.
to experiment, to learn from his successes.
And his failures.
Exactly.
So it's not about having all the answers right away.
Right.
It's about asking the right questions.
Yeah, the ones that lead to a deeper understanding.
You got to cultivate that sense of observation.
Pay attention to those subtle shifts.
Connect those dots to reveal the bigger picture.
It's about being intellectually curious, constantly seeking out new information,
Challenging those long-held assumptions.
questioning the status quo.
Looking for those emerging patterns that everyone else misses.
It's like training yourself to see the world through a new lens.
Think back to the early 90s.
Okay.
Who could have predicted that an online bookstore would become,
The Amazon we know today.
it was almost unfathomable back then.
It really shows Bezos' ability to adapt and evolve.
Right. He didn't just stick to one rigid plan.
He started with an idea, but he was flexible.
He let the company grow and transform.
In response to new opportunities,
And unforeseen challenges, too.
he was constantly iterating.
Not just the products.
But the whole business model.
That's a key takeaway, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, for sure.
You have to be willing to pivot,
Adjust your course.
embrace change.
Especially today, everything changes so fast.
The trends we see now might be totally different in a few years,
You got to be able to navigate those waves of change.
even when it gets rough.
It requires a certain mindset,
Like kind of mindset.
a willingness to step outside your comfort zone,
To embrace uncertainty.
to see challenges as opportunities for growth.
It's interesting because, Bezos has this reputation.
For being ruthlessly ambitious.
Data-driven, too.
But this podcast also talks about his customer focus.
It's like those two things aren't contradictory.
But actually complementary.
Yeah, they work together to drive his success.
Bezos understood that innovation isn't just about technology.
It's about solving real-world problems.
For real people.
And that's why he was so obsessed with customer satisfaction.
It's like that whole get big fast mantra.
Right.
But for Bezos, it wasn't just about growth.
It was about building this massive, loyal customer base.
That would be an unbeatable advantage.
And it worked.
Big time.
Amazon's customer-centric approach is legendary.
It reminds us that innovation should always start with the customer.
Understanding their needs.
Their desires. So it's not enough to just be brilliant.
Or have a groundbreaking idea.
You have to connect with your audience.
Build trust.
Deliver value.
That's what creates a lasting impact.
That goes beyond just chasing trends.
Now, as you think about all these emerging trends
Yeah.
and your own path,
Yeah.
keep that customer focus front and center.
It's not just about chasing shiny objects.
It's about making a meaningful contribution.
leaving the world a little better than you found it.
Using your talents to shape a brighter future
for everyone.
Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. So keep exploring, keep questioning.
Keep innovating.
Who knows? Maybe you'll be the next Bezos.
Shaping the world in ways we can't even imagine.
Now, we've talked a lot about his successes, but as you mentioned earlier, his journey wasn't all smooth sailing.
Right, there were definitely some bumps along the way.
But the podcast doesn't shy away from discussing those failures.
It's important to talk about those too.
It makes you think about how he navigated those challenges.
What we can learn from those experiences.
He didn't let those setbacks defeat him.
He saw them as opportunities for growth.
Remember that quote about doubling experiments?
Oh yeah, leading to double the inventiveness.
That philosophy embraces failure.
As a crucial part of the process.
So it's not about striving for perfection.
Or avoiding mistakes altogether.
It's about bouncing back from those setbacks.
Learning from them.
Emerging even stronger.
Understanding that failure isn't the opposite of success.
It's a stepping stone on the path to success.
And that's where long-term vision comes in again.
Keeping your eyes on the prize.
When you have a clear focus on the big picture,
Yeah.
those short-term failures become less scary.
Less daunting.
They become valuable data points.
Guiding you towards a better approach. It takes a lot of grit and determination to persevere.
Especially when the stakes are high.
Do you think his unwavering belief in his vision played a role?
In his ability to overcome those challenges.
Yeah.
Absolutely. His conviction that the internet would change everything. That fueled his determination.
To weather the storms.
That deep belief in his vision kept him going.
When others might have given up. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes
And the most groundbreaking innovations
they come from embracing uncertainty,
challenging conventional wisdom.
persisting even when the path ahead is unclear.
And it highlights the importance of your team,
Having people who share your vision.
who are committed to making it happen.
No entrepreneur achieves greatness alone.
It takes a collective effort
A shared belief in the potential of the idea.
to overcome those obstacles and achieve something truly remarkable.
Thinking about those early days in that garage,
Yeah,
it's hard to believe Amazon would become what it is today.
it's amazing.
It's a testament to vision, determination,
And a relentless focus on the customer.
and the story's still unfolding.
Even though he's not the CEO anymore.
He's still involved in Blue Origin, his philanthropy,
He embodies continuous learning,
exploration.
showing that even after incredible success,
There's always more to discover,
more to create.
more to contribute.
It's inspiring, isn't it?
To see someone who's achieved so much.
Still pushing the boundaries.
It reminds us that we all have the potential to make an impact.
No matter where we are in our own journey, it all comes back to that question we asked earlier.
About emerging trends
That could reshape the world.
and what role will each of us play. It's exciting.
And a little daunting.
The possibilities are endless.
But it requires us to be proactive.
To embrace uncertainty.
To adapt to change.
And that's where that Bezos-like mindset comes in.
Being curious.
Questioning things,
Experimenting.
failing, and learning.
The future isn't set in stone.
We create it through our choices and actions, so step outside your comfort zone.
Embrace the unknown.
Pursue your passions.
With unwavering determination.
We all have the potential to make a difference.
To leave our mark.
To build a brighter future.
And it's a journey best taken together.
Collaboration.
Shared commitment.
We can learn from each other.
Support each other.
Celebrate each other's successes.
Innovation and progress require us to work together.
To use our diverse perspectives and talent.
To create something truly extraordinary.
Speaking of collaboration,
Yeah?
what about the role of teamwork in Bezos' success?
Oh, that's a great point.
The podcast mentioned his ability to attract top talent.
But how did he create a culture of innovation
Elaborate.
within Amazon?
Bezos was known for his high standards,
His demanding leadership style,
but he also understood the importance of empowering his team,
encouraging risk-taking.
challenging conventional thinking.
He knew that the best ideas can come from anywhere.
That diversity of thought is crucial for innovation. He talked about disagree and commit,
That,
encouraging debate, but ultimately aligning behind a shared decision.
even if it wasn't their favorite.
It fosters creativity and accountability
It shows his ability to balance strong leadership.
with a willingness to listen to others,
He knew that true innovation requires collaboration.
harnessing the collective intelligence of a diverse team. It's interesting how those principles could apply to other organizations.
Even small teams.
It's about creating an environment where people feel valued,
Respected,
supported in taking risks,
pursuing bold ideas.
recognizing that failure is part of the process.
It's how we learn and grow. Celebrating successes together.
Learning from setbacks as a team.
Always striving to improve.
So push those boundaries.
Yeah.
And never losing sight of the customer.
Making sure everything we do creates value.
Makes a positive impact.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the Jeff Bezos success story,
Yeah.
let's take a moment to reflect.
On those key takeaways that resonated with us.
What sparked new ideas?
Inspired us to approach our own endeavors differently.
What lessons can we apply to our own lives?
How can we cultivate that Bezos-like mindset?
Embrace curiosity, innovation.
That relentless pursuit of excellence. You know, it's funny because we've been talking about all these big ideas,
Yeah.
but it makes you wonder how they apply to us, like regular people.
Right, not everyone's building the next Amazon.
Exactly. So how do these principles translate to everyday life?
That's the challenge, isn't it? Taking those big concepts and making them relevant.
Yeah, like that customer obsession thing. It makes sense for a company, but what about someone working on a creative project?
Or even just trying to improve their relationships.
Right. How does that apply?
It's a shift in perspective, I think.
Okay. How so?
Well, your customer could be your audience,
Okay.
your collaborators, even your family and friends.
So it's about understanding what they need, what they value.
Exactly. And delivering on that.
Whether you're making art, building a business,
Nurturing those relationships.
it's about providing value, exceeding expectations.
And that ties back to the long-term thinking we discussed.
Right. It's not about quick wins,
It's about building something sustainable.
which can be tough these days. Everything's so instant.
It is. But that's where Bezos' story is so powerful.
He was willing to wait for those profits
Invest in the infrastructure, the customer experience.
because he believed in the long-term vision.
It takes a lot of conviction to do that.
Faith in your own ideas.
And data plays a role too.
Oh yeah, Bezos was all about the data.
But it wasn't just about the numbers themselves.
It was about using data to understand things,
Customer behavior, areas for improvement.
to make informed decisions,
And we can all do that in our own lives.
even without a team of data scientists.
Whether it's tracking your progress on a goal,
Getting feedback on your work,
paying attention to what resonates with people.
data can be so insightful.
It's like a compass guiding you along the way.
So as we wrap up this whole deep dive into Jeff Bezos,
Yeah.
I think the biggest takeaway is that it's not just about business.
It's about life, really.
It's about pursuing any ambitious goal.
Embracing those core principles.
Long-term thinking, customer focus,
Data-driven decisions, embracing failure.
and remembering that the journey matters.
Just as much as the destination.
It's about those challenges,
The lessons learned.
the impact we create along the way. So, to everyone listening,
Right.
we hope this deep dive has given you some food for thought.
Some inspiration for your own journey.
Remember, the future is yours to create.
And hey, who knows? Maybe someday.
We'll be doing a deep dive on your success